thought you did such a great job with this role. And I'm sure this has to be a very tough day for you. Everyone coming in saying you did great.
It's been one of the hardest days of my life, Stephen. Thank you for acknowledging that. I'm just kidding.
Exactly. No, but I have a lot of things I want to talk to you about, but I've been asking everyone the same first two questions recently, and when I'm talking to people. So I'm going to start with, what movie have you seen the most?
Oh man, what movie have I seen? Interestingly enough, can I say 3 movies? Can I do 3 different movies?
100%.
So Lady Sings the Blues is absolutely one of them. Carmen Jones is another one. And Clueless. Still written great, by the way. I watched it not too long ago, a few months ago, and guess what? That script still holds up.
Yeah. And also Paul Rudd still hasn't aged a day.
Yeah.
If you could guest star on any TV show, what would it be? And
Law and Order.
Oh, wow, that was very fast.
Yeah. I am obsessed with Law and Order, and the beauty of Law and Order is it's always on.
There's a number of Law and Orders, aren't there?
Yeah.
You watch all
Special Victims Unit, Mariska Hargitay. I mean, come on. You know what I mean?
No, I completely understand.
I definitely want to be a victim. It's like, you know what I mean?
I wasn't expecting that, but yeah, that would be, yeah. So jumping into why I actually get to talk to you. First of all, congrats on the Golden Globe nominations. That's fantastic. But the thing about Billie Holiday, I think, is that she does not get enough credit for being very early on in terms of civil rights, because even today, a lot of musicians are like afraid to speak out about certain issues. But in the late 30s, she sang Strange Fruit and was really a pioneer in this. Can you sort of talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, it's interesting now, especially with that sort of cancel culture, the way it is, people get scared to sort of talk about politics, and they don't want to lose, maybe fans on one side or the other, which I understand, you know what I mean? Because I understand we sort of reflect the times, but back then that woman was actually worried about dying every time. That's, I tell people, I was like, I don't know what it's like to get on a stage and to say, if I sing Rise Up tonight, this could be my last night breathing on this earth. You know what I mean? And that's real. You know what I mean? She was so strong. That was sort of something running in the background. But, Billie Holiday would sing Strange Fruit and leave the club, and the cops it would be a full-fledged high-speed chase with them shooting into her car. That happened a few times, so it's like, we got to remember, like, her life was on the line, and ultimately she gave it up for, she died of cirrhosis of the liver, but they wanted her to die. The whole goal was to, as Hoover was amazing at, and as Anslinger was amazing at, exploiting whatever weakness someone had and using that to, as he would say, give her enough rope to hang herself, So I think that was one of my big incentives in doing this movie, was that the world would finally be able to say thank you to her and recognize her as, and I wouldn't even just say she was an early civil rights leader. I would argue that she's a part of the genesis of those civil rights as we know it now, because it was, we hear of the death of Emmett Till that really set everything off, which it did, but the part that's erased is that it was Billie Holiday singing Strange Fruit in defiance of the government that reinvigorated Thurgood Marshall in the movement. And so I think it's, we really owe her a debt of gratitude, and the fact that her legacy, they were trying to get rid of her memory, period, but they couldn't because she was too famous. But where they did succeed, and where they often succeed, is the narrative war. And so if we can change the narrative to her just being tragic, drug addicted, junkie, problematic, troubled, issues with men, then we've succeeded. And in that regard, they did succeed. So it's amazing that the song has survived and is in the Hall of Fame now. But she really was the godmother of civil rights, I say.
I agree, especially doing a lot more research on, but this had to have been, you've never done a movie like this and never had to do a role. I mean, this is a daunting challenge for any actor to take on this role. When Lee eventually said, I want you to do this, were you like, internally, were you like, can I do this? Because this is going to be a challenge.
Yeah, internally, I was like, I can't do this. So I was like, you really probably going to have to find somebody else, because I'm not, I mean, from the beginning, you know, it's funny. I always say Lee and I probably bonded on that first meeting because neither of us thought we should be there. He was like, I don't want her to be the one to play Billie Holiday. She's not an actress. I was like, bruh, I don't want to do this. I'm not an actress. So no thanks. And I love Billie Holiday. It was like, in my mind, I had this nightmare that I would be just a giant stain, you know what I mean? Like just a stain on Billie Holiday's legacy, a stain on Diana Ross's incredible interpretation and legacy, a stain on Audra McDonald on Broadway. Like, so I was, when we first went in, I was like, no, definitely. And he was not feeling it either. But then we just connected, you know, and we, you know, we saw each other and we saw our insecurities and our shared fear and, you know, and then I saw his need to tell her story authentically. And I still didn't think I was the person to do it, but I agreed to meet with the acting coach that he connected me with, which was Tasha Smith, great acting coach and director. And of course I read the script by Susan Lloyd Parks. They also introduced me to Tom Jones, the dialect coach, my dialect coach. And so I'm going through the audition process, but even going through the audition process, I'm like, nah, like, nah. So I will tell you, even the day, and it was like literally the day after the Oscars, the top of 2018, that he called to say, you got the role. And my family was sitting there, we were like, whoa, this is crazy. And my initial reaction was, are you sure you looked around? Because I just feel like this is not a good idea. And I don't want to, you know, he was like, well, you just shut the hell up and be prepared on set when we get there. Like, so it was definitely labored. It was a lot of prayer and peace that had to go into it for me and for him as well. We had to kind of just link arms and dive into this together and sort of overcome our fears about what it could be as opposed to what we, you know, think we're supposed to do here. You know what I mean? So it was definitely like a leap of faith for sure.
Lee has crafted some really great performances. What is it about him that gets actors to sort of deliver these great performances?
You know, I think, well, first of all, I think authenticity, you know what I mean? Really, really not just like for the characters, for his actors. He has a desire for these people to be human, for them to jump off the page, for them to be real, for them to be relatable, you know, in ways that might surprise us. You know what I mean? Like one of the things he told me that someone had mentioned to him that the language sounded very modern, but everything that we grabbed came from interviews that we heard her speaking, where we heard Lester speaking, so I think people forget how much our cool, popular language now came from Lester Young or came from like Billie Holiday or, you know, or Monk or Mingus, you know, or Coltrane or, you know, so it's like, we forget that they kind of were a little bit the birth of cool, you know what I'm saying? So I think he humanizes people in such a beautiful way where you can empathize with them, you can be mad at them, you can have a relationship with them, you know what I mean, the way you would. And I also feel like he has a great love and a great respect for actors, you know, and I think it's beautiful on set. He does not just look at his actors as just like these parrots, you know what I mean, or just actors. To him, we are artists, you know what I mean, as well. So he would go into a scene, he would sometimes know specifically what he wants. And then sometimes he'd go into scenes like, I don't know, what's the best, what do you guys feel like is the best thing to happen here? So it was wonderfully collaborative. He a lot of integrity, you know, just treated his actors as creators, as co-creators with him. So it created a real, just kind of like, as he says, like a real cookout kind of vibe, you know what I mean, on set. So it was, you know, again, he has a great respect for what it is that we do and what we give in this space, you know.
I believe that you had, I could be wrong about this, about 55 different wardrobe changes.
Oh yes.
And I think a lot of them were made by Prada. And I'm just curious, hypothetically, I know you wouldn't actually steal anything from set.
I did. I stole lots of things and I have no shame about it.
I was going to say, hypothetically, what did you borrow from set?
I did. I borrowed a fur coat. It's vintage. I did borrow, you know, one of the lingerie and the sets. They've actually gifted me multiple things since then, which have made me feel really guilty about stealing it. But let's just be very clear. No one was unaware that I was totally siphoning off the wardrobe. Everywhere I was like, they're like borrowed. They're like, yeah, where'd the coat go? Like, we know where the coat is. It's in Andra's closet at home. Like, but no, I mean, if I could have gotten it into my bag, I would have gotten that beautiful Prada gown at the end, dancing sequence with the purple feathers on it. I would have borrowed the black velvet dress where she's like creating the macabre look and she's putting the shoe polish in her hair. Just because it made my boobs look so big, and honestly, I don't have no boobies, but but they did actually gift me the coat, which was huge for me. Like, it was so emotional for my birthday recently, which was so special. They gifted me Billie Holiday's famous coat that they actually made a perfect replica of with the wider sleeves. She would wear it all the time, which was a part of her activism, because they would write articles just sort of shaming her for being a Black woman wearing a fur coat. Like, she's embarrassing. You know, why would she wear diamonds? Why would she wear fur? So they gifted me that, and it has an LD embroidered into it. So it makes me feel special because it's like LD for Lady Day and then also LD for Lee Daniels. So they just recently did that. So I might give back those other pieces, maybe. I don't know.
Thank you for sharing that, what you borrowed. I am curious, obviously, you can't pick when you're going to film certain things during the making of a movie, but did you try, or did you talk to Lee about, hey, I'd like to film this later in the shoot because I think I'll be ready, for example, when you wanted to film singing Strange Fruit, or, you know, stuff like that, because I'm sure there were things you didn't want to do on the first day of filming.
Yeah. And then we did it all on the first day of filming. That first week of filming, oh my gosh, it was like so crazy. So I didn't actually ask that or request that because I didn't know it was a thing, to be honest with you. I was so laser focused. I was terrified. I mean, every single day I was like, today's the day I'll be terrible and they're going to fire me. So I was like, so I didn't really know that that was a thing, or I didn't really, you know, I wasn't thinking about it. I was just like, just be prepared. I combed through every single thing. I memorized every word and tried to memorize as much as I could as we would get rewrites and different things on set. So, I mean, my plate was so full with that. And I think I just sort of kept my focus on making sure that I was prepared every single day, you know, and then making sure I had some open-ended things so that I could receive whatever change of direction or. So I didn't have a preference of shooting because I didn't know. I have no frame of reference. I had no experience. And so, and I don't know if it's even something, maybe I would do it in another scenario, but I didn't have, I was so focused on like, let me just not suck today. Like, so so no, I didn't do that. But yeah, it was, you know, singing Strange Fruit that first week was definitely challenging. And challenging is such an understatement. It was so painful and transformative and then triumphant, and then urgent, such a sense of urgency, you know what I mean? So it was, but yeah, no, there was no, as far as timeline goes, I was like, y'all deal with that. I need to be up in these words, you know what I mean?
Completely. I have to stop there. I'm just going to say again, congrats. I wish you nothing but the best. Thank you so much for talking today.
Thank you. Likewise. I love your energy too. Yeah, you're great. Thank you.
Thank you.